All right then. Hello. I'm back for this monthly video series on cassettes. I'm well, a lot of things have happened, but I probably won't get into all of them. I'm probably just going to get into the tapes. All right. So first, I guess we have the Austin Noise Fest from Texas, which was pretty enjoyable. These black flags are all part of that series. This guy went and made more good tape, great little shows and things. What's his name again? Vindictive Tormentor. And it sort of skirts, I don't know. Like, they all say, like, for promotional use only. I have no idea what's being promoted. But they're fun. And, I'm going to keep buying them as long as he keeps making them. Although I've asked him to stop because I don't want to go broke. Chapter House, Whirlpool, and Blood Music. Oh, the George Carlin, by the way, that was something I listened to a long time ago. I was on a trip visiting my parents in Virginia, and I brought a bunch of stuff to read. I've got a full box of like 400 tapes of things that I've heard but not read, so I'm reading the liner notes for. And so I brought a bunch of that to kind of give me something to do while not working on my movie, and to get sort of some things done with that. It's nice to have like some stuff to read, when you're going somewhere. So I brought a bunch of them. I enjoyed the Chapter House, Whirlpool, and Blood Music. One of them starts off with being really shoegaze. In fact, they sound a lot like Riot, and then it ends up being like techno or electronic music by Blood Music, and so it's fun. There's a Faith No More single that's notable. Let's see. I don't really love the Flaming Lips, and I feel like they're kind of, I don't know, at that point, I don't know I think they began to stand out when they started doing Keishimi and the Robots or whatever. I don't know. I know a lot of people like them, but I don't know. They're kind of like weird for weird's sake sometimes. That singer's not very good, in my opinion, so. In fact, well, he's not bad either, but I don't mean to be a downer. I remember seeing the movie Flubber one time. I don't remember when it was. In the 80s or like the early 90s, maybe? I'm not really sure. It just sort of showed up. I certainly have never seen whatever version. I mean, it is Robin Williams' most famous role, right? Whoever the inventor of Flubber was. But yeah, he's actually in this movie, apparently. I don't know. There he is. Know nothing else about this. Diamada Galas, the singer. Yeah, that is a promo. It wasn't very much, and it was one of the only. I've also got a signed copy of, in the main collection, I believe it's a signed copy of Plague Mass, as well as the promo version Plague Mass I got. I'll probably mention that. Another garbage showed up. The Madison Band, if you can call them Madison Band. Actually, I do. I can't remember the guitarist or the bassist. I'm not really sure which one. Sometimes, I'm pretty sure he would show up at my Whole Foods grocery store a long time ago with his model wife. I wonder if they're still together. I mean, I think Garbage, they were multimillionaires at one point. Steve Vig certainly still is, but I don't know about the other people. Oh, and Shirley Manson maybe. But I guess, what can I say about them? They're okay. Healer's Creed was kind of weird. I don't know. I'm glad that exists too. Not that I feel like I need to get another one, but I probably will listen to all of them at some point. But yeah, I can't say that I cared that much about it. What was it like? They're not weird for weird's sake, but they are kind of like 80s. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, life and music could have gone in that direction, but it went in a very different direction. Is that what I want to say about Helios Creed? I don't really know. The new Bon Iver was all right. I thought the side one with Bon Iver, it's like the stuff where he's singing is so much better than when he's trying to do anything else. So yeah, he's really kind of forgotten that, like, the whole reason why people wanted to hear him in the first place. That being said, it was okay, but it was kind of like his limitations were really shown off in this album. In terms of producing or trying to create something grand or something, I don't know. But that's just my little opinion. Doesn't matter. Borders on a Malik. I've dug more into the Bollywood stuff because of where I live. I can play it a little bit more than I have in the last two places. So I'm really trying to get into some of the modern Bollywood stuff, which is, I think I said this, that around 97, 98, especially, like, they just kind of dropped the bass and started doing like a lot of modern production, which shows up. I don't know. I don't know if it's influential on Western music, but it's certainly Western studios were influential on them for sure. But it's great music. It's like I love listening to it. I never get tired of listening to it. Oh, here's some Paul McCartney's that I think were pretty good. I didn't listen to them recently. There were just such a lot of liner notes in this stuff that I finally got around to it when I was like flying on a plane and stuff. What was happening in my own hearing when I was flying on the plane was that my ears were compressing and decompressing many, many times, and I kind of lost my hearing for about a couple weeks. Well, not all of it, but like half the hearing my right ear. My right ear was just really giving me fits. Even though on the way back, it was better because we got these things called earplanes, which were earplugs for me, and I had a better time. And I'm fine now. Oh yeah, Too High to Die by the Meatballs. That's cool. Oh yeah, likewise, Metallica. That way, this, by the way, is a promo version. It was, yeah, not a, I wouldn't say a forgotten album. The Meat Puppets they're a good band. I don't know. What can I say about them? Well, they're kind of, I don't know. The best Meat Puppets thing was that what was it called? Meat Sack or something? No, it was called, I don't remember. There's like a thing of them just doing a concert, and I've got it. I've actually got two copies. I got one to sell if anybody ever wants it. But they're like talented, good songwriters, and again, though, they kind of do. People do forget about them, I think, except for like their little thing with Nirvana for the Unplugged thing. But otherwise, their own albums, people tend to forget. Maybe the early stuff, but they're a weird band because like in Meat Puppets 1 is completely noise, and Meat Puppets 2 are these frazzled out psychedelic pop songs, and then they kind of went from there. They have a song where they're singing extremely fast. Oh gee, I'm just trying to remember what the name of that was. Anyway, I won't probably remember it. Maybe we'll write it down. Here's some Metallica stuff. I've kind of enjoyed this because this is like the Cliff Burton era of the Meat Puppets, Metallica, and I guess it's interesting. They don't have a lot of songs at this point, so they're playing like about 10 songs. But what they have is quite developed, and they certainly have a show. It's interesting that all like this person who sold this like just dubbed all of these, or I don't know, somehow I assume. I don't know how they came into my possession, but they're promotional use only, so okay. Anyway, by the way, speaking of like copyright and issues and things like that, I found out something really, really horrible about the guy who, if you search, is the number one. He's like, turns up as being the largest cassette collection in the world. And I kind of tried to bring this up on both the Facebook group and the Reddit group. because, and the Facebook group I think responded reasonably to this news that he is accused of stuff that will probably put him in prison for the rest of his life, including like child sex trafficking and things like that. Just really bad. And I don't know nothing about it. Like apparently this has been going on since November, and I only mention it because he's like shows up in Google as a big representative of cassette tapes, right? And this is what I really don't like about the Reddit group is I posted this kind of news and I didn't know how to break it to them, but they decided ultimately it wasn't having anything to do with tapes, which I kind of disagree with that. I think there are like some pretty serious ramifications to this idea. Not that it's associated with tapes, but it also, and I don't associate that with tapes, but I do associate like people do associate him with tapes. And now he's never going to be like, unless he somehow didn't do these things, which I mean, his bond is like $355,000. He's apparently a monster, and well, he's possibly never getting out. He's not. He's also a very stupid man, as far as I can tell. Like I didn't never liked him even before any of this, but like I don't know. I hope that like whoever his victims are able to get better. Allegedly, I don't. And in fact, I don't even know the outcome of the case. I just know this charges couldn't be more serious, and he's always been an idiot and a sexist, and I'd never liked him. He's a jerk. And if you like dig a little deeper, he'll that part of him emerges, because he's not really smart enough to like, I don't know, to not be that guy that he ultimately is. Anyway, like I really don't like the Reddit group anyway, because the Reddit group is a bunch of like, it's a bunch of it's just a world of mediocrity. And I tend to get downvoted on that. Like I tried to share my collection with people and it was just downvoted, and I never really said anything bad to them. So I don't know whether it's like jealousy or anything, but there's like been some really bad interactions on the Reddit group where people act really catty or they try to bait you into conflict, and then they act like they were just kidding and you're taking it too seriously or something. And then it just devolves into this like accusations of not understanding or stupid, like, well, people telling you that you're stupid and you're telling them that they're stupid. It's just and it's just kind of tiresome. But like anyway, speaking of that, I should probably get into this other video that this guy who I'm actually really disappointed in him too. He's like a Gen Xer. He's a Gen Xer, and you would think like he'd be cool, but he just ends up like making a video where he just rips on tapes and talks about how useless they are, which is fine. Actually, it's totally okay, because people who don't value tapes will often sell you tapes, or if they're able to, or like kind of devalue things, and then you can collect. Like one of my person I ended up really appreciating is somebody who hated tapes so much that he sold me an Aphex Twin Selected Ambient Works for $2, and that store never really priced things the way they are now, and so like I bought I think an Alice in Chains Live at Moore Theater for $2, which is a pretty rare tape. Usually both those things go for like up to $100. So anyway, I don't necessarily like, if you want to devalue tapes, that's perfectly fine. But what was disappointing to me was the fact that he kept trying to get people to collect CDs, and well, frankly, he didn't really make an argument for it. I think I mean, if CDs are digital, so rather than your nostalgia guiding you towards CDs because they're better fidelity, just simply burn the CDs into FLAC, and then you'll have all the all the room on whatever hard drive you want for any CDs you could ever. You don't need the actual CDs; they're kind of a relic. You can just sell or throw them away in a bin or something, right? I mean, like he doesn't have any argument against that. So anyway, like I really didn't like his advocacy for the CD. Not that I care. I mean, great if you want to collect CDs, great. But he couldn't really rationalize why he hates cassettes but loves CDs, and who cares? It's just like personal. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting way off topic. because I just really wanted to talk about how that guy, well, so I should get back to it anyway. Oh, this is a, not Pearl Jam, no. I'm trying to see this through my phone, and it doesn't always work. It's like a lack of coordination, sorry. The Plastic Ono Band live in Toronto, but it's like the first version. From the 70s, I believe. And unfortunately, it's not from the 60s. They didn't do one in the late 60s, as far as I can tell, or early 70s. So I think that one's maybe the late 70s. And Yoko Ono Rising, which I just literally finished listening to right before making this thing. And Yoko Ono, boy, she's kind of totally insane. But I give her respect that she's lived to the ripe old age of 92 or something, and incredible, and so is like William Shatner. No matter how you feel about William Shatner, he's definitely still around. It's kind of amazing. Tall, Malik, yeah, these are all Malik, I believe. No, these are all Rahman, but they are all very good. I've got a lot of different kinds of tall. It might be the Bollywood album I have the most variations of. I enjoyed listening to Henry Rollins' The Box Life a lot. Henry Rollins is a comedian, but he doesn't really get the credit for being a comedian. And instead, I think he wanted to be a musician. But people, I don't think of him as a musician. It's kind of like, I think he went on to follow in the footsteps of James Brown, and in terms of his presentation, and the Stooges, which are totally different, but the simplicity of somebody like James Brown. But the thing is, he's just so much better as a comedian, and he deserves to be recognized as a comedian. He really, especially the first stuff was stuff. The airline one part in this is like spoken word, but it's really comedy. The airline thing, like I kept remembering that, but I didn't know what it was, so I was super gratified to find that here, because every time I'm flying, I always think of that one. He's talking about the airline pilot going, and then like relaxing everybody, which they do. Among many, many other things, he should definitely be recognized as being a really good comedian. Anywho, Salsa Chest wasn't very good. I don't know what else to say about them. Like, this was something that was given to me for free. But, like, there's no need to buy that, as far as I can tell. It's nice to have stuff, though, that isn't very good to kind of offset the things, because so many of the things I listen to are. Speaking of, the Schoolhouse Rocks box set, I've just absolutely loved. The Blind Melon song on that is just perfect, and it was the last thing Shannon Hoon recorded before he died. It's just beautiful, like, and in fact, a lot of the Schoolhouse Rock, both the original, of course, which I kind of grew up with, not to date myself, and the rock versions here are wonderful. So, kind of a forgotten thing, but still, I think kids would do a lot better in a lot of ways. Not every way. Sometimes it's not exactly clear when they're talking about like parts of speech. I've always had a little bit of trouble understanding what a modifier is and things like that. They never like explain what a modifier is. They just say it modifies this, and in my school they never explain what the heck a modifier, what a modification is. So they just kind of jump to that. Anyway, minor gripe. So Shakti, Sham 69 was pretty fun. That's 1977. I'm going to try to wrap this up. Will Smith getting jiggy with it. Yeah, that guy who believes in very strongly in collecting CDs, but wants to throw away all the tapes. He also loves Will Smith for whatever that's worth. For absolutely zero. Will Smith is totally cheesy and always has been. I don't really understand people like Will Smith at all. And it was before the slap or anything like that. He's always been a maniac, and I just don't care. I'm not saying I hate his music, but I don't understand why people would love it. All right, anyway, maybe I don't get it. So, I finally got the Space Ghost Surf and Turf. It was good. Like, this is, I think, geared towards kids, so it's kind of weird because the show is definitely not geared towards kids. When they came to making these albums, they were like, oh, let's do a bunch of kids stuff, and so it's definitely like kiddie fare. Not sure why they couldn't just make a Space Ghost album that was like funny, but actually it's sort of funny, but it's not that funny. But it's like, I know why they couldn't make the one that's funny though, is because like it's all this. They did, like, what's funny is when they interview Bjork or somebody else, and of course, and they cut up all the interview. Yes. Okay. So, anyways, did Ringo Starr get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I heard that he might have, or maybe that was a few years ago, and I'm way off base. But here is one of the only things I didn't have. It is an original Ringo Starr Sentimental Journey, his first album, the UK version, and guess what? I also was able to pick up the US version at around the same time. I love that when that happens. These are both from the same time. Then I also was managing to get Suicide. This was a sort of light grail for me here. As you can imagine, it's like the UK version from 1977. I had it kind of like on file that I would get this, but the version that I was going to get, it turns out, was like French, and I still wouldn't mind getting it, but this is the one to get, UK version. It's awesome. And I also have the first one. This is the second one. They're both called Suicide. A little confusing. Throwing Muses. I think this is Heyday or something. Is that what it was called? I don't remember. Hunk Papa, maybe? Who knows? But it's another Throwing Muses. It was nice. And this promo, of course. And my last Sang, which I hadn't read yet. I had listened to it long ago, but the Sang thing is, these were recorded in the 60s. They are Chinese opera. And somebody actually who I met online, Tanya, who's a very, 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 very cool person, told me, knew about him because she's from China. And I was like, she's kind of blown away that I knew about him. And I was like, well, I don't know how I knew. I don't remember anymore. Oh, I remember. I got a whole bunch of Chinese things from tapes, and then a whole bunch of Bollywood tapes from somebody. So that's how you discover things. Anyway, yeah, so that's how I know about it, but she knew a lot more. And Urban Fusion this is kind of weird because it's got like intros by some rap people, and I don't know whether Ludacris intro, but the thing is, did they take Ludacris, or did they pay Ludacris to kind of come in and say something? Because that's what it almost sort of seems like, because he's talking very particularly about Bollywood stuff, what is it called? Desi Beats or something? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's saying like Desi Beats. So it implies that he was actually sort of paid to be on that thing. This other half of Woodstock 99, I already had read the first half and then was just really lazy about getting to the second half, and it took me years, but I finally read that. Woodstock 99 was kind of the disaster of Woodstock. That I had nothing to do with it. Didn't see it. Wasn't part of it. Actually, I wasn't part of any of them except maybe Weedstock. I was at Weedstock. That's a different thing. I like Long May You Run. That's a great Neil Young song. Obviously, it's not from 69. This cape is not from 69. It's some reissue, but hey, whatever. It was real cheap. And then finally, the Zombies. I have always liked the Zombies. My dad likes the Zombies. He's told me that one time in 1966, I believe, it was a cold day, and he was getting into a car in the backseat, and there was a heater on, and he just will never forget warming up, and She's Not There, or one of those songs was playing. I think it's She's Not There. And I think that kind of changed his life. I think that really, that was rock and roll kind of reaching in and changing his life in a way. So I've always also liked the Zombies anyway. Yeah, they Odyssey and Oracle is an excellent album. Anyway, I think I've said everything I meant to say. I guess I'll share this. One of the things that happened in the last last week was I had surgery, and having surgery. Like, I think I might have mentioned that when I turned my, oh no, I've been telling other people this. I shouldn't get into that. But the surgery went fine. Let's just put it that way. It's my second surgery of the year, and it's my first in decades. So, yeah. And then I also got hit by a car. So, and I didn't have surgery for that. But I think 51 is going to be all right. Oh, shoot. All right, I told you my age now. Well, anyway, there it is. I'm 51. Anyway, I should be on my way now. But hey, these things, like, I'm getting into the end of like stuff that I wanted to hear, and I'm getting into just kind of Bollywood, and so maybe the next video will be boring in terms of the tapes. And we won't have any Suicide or Ringo Starr. Anyway, yeah, have a good day. To whoever the 8 people that watch this seem to be pretty consistent. So thanks to the 8 people that watch this. Bye.